I don't even know how to count them up. I mean, I'm not great at math. We've gone over this extensively, but the BYU Cougars have an over-under win total at FanDuel Sportsbook. Pulled this last night at 6.5, over -118, under -104. Depending on what kind of data you're using, if you froze all of your projections a month and a half ago, you'd see this 6.5 and you'd be like, oh my gosh, that's way too low. Hammer the over. Then Jake Retzlaff ends up transferring to Tulane, honor code violations and the like. I mean, Bud, we were talking about adjustments and news at the top of the show right here. How does Retzlaff's absence impact your projections for BYU?
Yeah, I mean, so BYU was like plus money under 7.5 before the Retzlaff stuff came out. So obviously it dropped at about a win, which I think it creates a very slight buying opportunity here for me. I'm going to go ahead and go over, mainly because I don't think Retzlaff was that good. I think he was fine, but I don't think he was certainly not a top third quarterback in the Big 12. And I think you could also make an argument that he was not a top half quarterback in the Big 12. They get Mekhi Hillstead, who came over from Utah State. I definitely don't think he's a top half quarterback in the Big 12, but he is at least somebody who's like played college football before. And BYU is not typically asking like that much of their quarterback. They should be fairly solid to get on defense. But man, I do like the schedule here quite a bit. Stanford is actually an underdog to Hawaii now to open the year. Like they're very much in the running as the worst P5 team by a good bit. Portland State should be a win. East Carolina, I think, will be an improved football team, but you're coming off a bye there. And like really, if you're a Power 5 team or Power 4 team that spends real money, like we know BYU does, they have actual NIL. Your bodies just should be better than what East Carolina's running out there. I think it's very important that they get at least 5 wins on the left side of this column. So that would be Portland State, Stanford, at ECU, at Colorado, West Virginia, at Arizona. I think if you're 4-2 in that stretch, you're going to have a hard time getting to that 7th win. But I do like getting UCF at home in the cold to end the year. Probably not a trip that the Knights are super looking forward to playing there, I would think, on Thanksgiving in Provo. Can you get one in the Utah, at Iowa State, at Texas Tech, host TCU, at Cincinnati stretch? Like that could certainly be an 0-5 if you have real QB problems, but I think you can get one there. So I'm going to go ahead and go over for this BYU team.
Yeah, much like you, I try to fade the easy bet. Like the easy bet is as soon as you lose Retzlaff, season's done. The season's over. And like you, I thought he was good. The story was fun, but I do think that kind of made the lore of his actual play better than it actually was. So I don't think the loss is going to be too significant. That's without seeing these guys that are coming in behind him. But I think Kalani Sitake's a really good football coach. I think this is one where you do have some of the age and development advantage over, a lot of teams because, of the way the setup is with getting older players on your team. So I'm on the over, not by a ton, but and then like the Colorado game is a good example. Like they dominated that game physically with Shedeur and with Travis Hunter last year, the bowl game. And I know bowl games are kind of an outliers and they did have Jake Retzlaff, but I think they're a physical team that kind of it translates to more times than not being able to mask potential issues at quarterback.
West Virginia and UCF hauling their ass out to Provo. That's that is tough, and that is a good advantage for BYU. If you are a student at the School of Regression, BYU did pull some games, pulled some games out in unique ways on their way to 11 wins. But even if you do the regression monster coming back, 11 wins still could bring you back to 7.5 or 7-5. So I think that as I was going through with my win-loss toss-ups, I gave them the loss at Texas Tech. BYU, I mean, Utah probably, but it's the Holy War, so you never know with rivalry games. I could really see this being an 8-4 team. So at 6.5, I think I'm with y'all. I'm going to be jumping in on trying to buy on bad news and look at a BYU team that might take a step back defensively, but I still think that they've got some good coaching. And like you said, Danny, they've still got big bodies that should be able to win at the line of scrimmage. If they can stack the wins early, and if they can avoid a kind of slip up against an ECU or at ECU at Arizona, if you get those wins, then I think we should be pacing towards going over 6.5, even if you have to lay the -118. -118 ain't bad. We're going to deal with way more ridiculous prices than -118 by the end of the next month. So, yeah, I'm with you. I think that BYU over has to be the play.